come in.
Hi, Nick.
Hi. Yeah.
Hey, Joe LaFauci with
Nice
Seminole
to meet
Insurance.
you.
It's great to see you again. Is it okay if I take a seat?
Please do.
All right, thank you. And is it okay if I use some of your desk today?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, thank you so much. And before I forget, here's my card just in case you didn't open mine. Do you have one for me as well?
I do.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you. So last time we talked, I actually, in between then and now, I actually stopped at the restaurant.
You hadn't been there before?
I hadn't been there before, believe it or not. So I looked around and it really reminded me of when I was a kid. And actually, I used to own pizza restaurants or work at pizza restaurants with my uncles who owned them.
Oh, really?
And you know, we really know that the first year is always the hardest thing and the greatest obstacle. So I just want to congratulate you on, what was it, 18 months?
Yes.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks.
You know, I want to know that I can really relate to your situation and that I'm here to help. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, great. So I know we don't have much time in our meeting today. Is 15 minutes still okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So I'm going to bring as much value to your time as possible. Aiming for efficiency, I wanted to set an agenda with you.
Oh, great.
First off, I just want to get a better understanding of the restaurant and the operations. Second, I just want to find any challenges that you face and any missed opportunities.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely.
How long have you been doing this? You look very young. I don't remember you looking that young at the mixer.
Well, I'm flattered. I'm flattered. Is it really a concern of experience or?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, believe it or not, I've actually had my 215 license, Health, Life, and Annuities, since I was age 19. I graduated from Florida State University, which is actually number 6 in the country for RMI in 2016. And along with that, Seminole Insurance has over a year of training in the program for their recruit members. I also have a full team of people at my back with over 30 years of combined experience.
Do you have a 220 also?
I don't. I only have my 215, but I'm working towards it right now. Does that answer that question? Is it okay if we move on with the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks so much, Nick. I appreciate you. Ultimately, third off, I just want to explain Seminole Insurance, who we are, what we do, and to see if we can start a partnership. Is that okay with you? Is
Yes.
there anything you'd like to add to that agenda? Okay, phenomenal. So starting off, I just want to ask you a few questions. Say you like what you hear today.
Okay.
Is there anybody that you think would benefit from hearing about this in the meeting?
No, I'm the only
No?
decision maker.
Okay, you're the decision maker. Phenomenal. Only one. And so what are a few qualities you look for when you're partnering with a company and working with insurance?
Well, I want to make sure that they know as much about insurance as I think I know about the restaurant industry.
Okay.
The current broker that we have was not able to successfully address, to my satisfaction, an issue we had with Hurricane Irma. We lost about $40,000 worth of food.
40,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
because of electrical issues.
Exactly, and we weren't able to reopen because I couldn't get new food in for about 7 days, and that cost us $60,000.
Over 60 grand. Okay.
So we have 3.7 million in sales a year, so between 60 and 70 is an average week. So I was out of both of those things, but I continued to pay our employees, and I had no coverage for either.
Okay, absolutely. So you're really looking for just communication, just so you know that you're covered for these kinds of things, and somebody who understands Tallahassee in general. So like for hurricane coverage, flood coverage, and things like that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes to the second question, but communication, no, because he communicated clearly that I didn't have the coverage.
I see. Okay, but it was just after the fact. So we
Yes.
want to make sure that you have experienced people who know the area and know what liabilities you face.
Yeah, he said he didn't realize that I wanted coverage for that, and
I
I don't
see.
know what coverage I need.
Understood, understood. And that's what we're here today to talk about, is to see if we can dig up anything that we might have missed, and to see if we can provide a solution with Seminole Insurance. Does that sound good to you?
Yes.
Okay, phenomenal. So I just want to ask you about, I actually saw it in the Tallahassee
I
Democrat.
thought you were going to tell me more about Seminole.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to ask you a few questions first, just to figure out, to see if we can help, and then I'd like to present the project.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, phenomenal. So I actually read in the Tallahassee Democrat article that you guys actually renovated the whole place, and it was, what was it, parquet floors?
Well, it's the parquet floors. They're imported from France.
Wow.
And the walls are mosaic tiled glass. And then the front door is custom leaded glass, and the logo's etched in it. And I've got a ton of time, money, sweat equity, and all those improvements. I did it myself.
Wow, and congratulations on that. Wow,
Thanks.
what a big project. So do you mind if I ask how much that really cost you?
No, I think, but I didn't think about it at the time, but all of that ends up costing me about $800,000.
$800K, okay.
Yeah.
So a big project, but it obviously shows that
Yes.
it's great, because I know a lot of people go there for the antiquity look, and it's really a beautiful site, if I may add.
Yes.
Absolutely. Another question, is everything up to code in terms of, do you have fire vents over the stoves or, things like sprinkler systems and the?
We have a sprinkler system upstairs. There's not one downstairs. That's a gift shop.
Okay.
And the space down there doesn't have it, but our space had to because of the kitchen. But I am concerned that if there were a fire downstairs, there'd be damage upstairs and I'd be out of business
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
a period of time.
Absolutely. And I mean, the 800,000 that you put into these floors and the mosaic tiles, I mean, what would that mean to you if you lost all of that?
It would be horrible.
Rather, what would you do with that money, that you
Right.
could be saving?
But I didn't, as far as, I didn't get a permit. And when I was talking to one of your competitors, they asked me that. I hadn't thought about it before, but none of the betterments that I done myself personally, I stopped to get permitted.
Okay.
We do have an elevator for handicapped individuals. We converted a closet.
Okay.
But otherwise, most guests take the stairs.
Okay, gotcha. So, I mean, is the elevator up to code? I mean, is that as part of your individual contract?
No, it's the building has.
Okay, understood. Yeah. So, I mean, with that being everything not being up to code, I mean, a fire on the first floor and not being up to code, if we were to figure out a way to try and help you with that, is that something you would be interested in?
Very much so, yes.
Okay, phenomenal. Great to hear. I'm really curious about actually your liquor liability. Can you tell me a little bit about the ratio of alcohol to food sales?
I've been in restaurants all my life, not at my family's pizza places, but after I got out of college working for national chains, and they were very focused on safety and liquor, serving safety. So our current liquor sales are 700,000 out of 3.7 million. And we are thinking about expanding the wine collection. My brother is gonna start a rare wine distributorship.
Okay.
And I don't like to tell people this, but I won $250,000 in scratch off.
Oh wow!
So I'm gonna spend that $250,000 to build my initial inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm thinking about the space downstairs, the tenants potentially leaving. So I'd like to, with my brother, potentially open a store that would sell wine by the bottle.
Oh, specifically wine by the bottle. Okay, great. And any bar in there, or just is it?
Well, we would do tastings, but the tastings would be complimentary.
Okay, gotcha. Understood. So, I mean, going more into the restaurant before we hit expansion, because I would love to talk about that. You did mention that you do have like a written code or a written set of rules for your employees not to overserve, serve to minors, things like that.
Yeah. So for liquor safety, I came to opening this restaurant with a lot of information. But we also get training supplemented by our current wine distributor and beer distributor. So Anheuser-Busch will come in, they'll talk about their new brands and why this beer is better than that beer, but they also talk about safe serving.
Okay, phenomenal. That's great to hear. And so in terms of expanding your wine collection, do you know what your coverage is actually for liquor liability?
Let me see if I have that here.
Okay.
I don't think I have it, but I think I've got about, I don't have it.
You don't have it on you right now? Okay. Very important to find out, especially if we are talking about expanding the wine collection, having tastings, things like that. Because, I mean, the ultimate question is, God forbid, what would happen if somebody got in an accident, or, if
I know I've got the coverage, but I haven't told any of your other competitors what the coverage limits were, so
absolutely.
I'll look it up
and if we don't have the limit, then we don't really know. And ultimately, we're at risk of losing over $700,000 of revenue. Is that something? I mean,
I'm sure I have at least $2 million.
At least $2 million. Okay, gotcha. Very good to know. So if a suit were to follow, you would be fully covered, you think?
To $2 million.
To $2 million. Okay, and who knows exactly? So I mean, say it didn't exceed, it exceeded.
Well, I've got an umbrella policy, so I don't know would it cover that.
Okay, I believe so. We're really not sure right now, but
you'd have to read the policy probably.
Yeah, we probably have to read the policy, and that's really good information to know. Moving on, actually, I'm really curious about something. One of my greatest concerns with a restaurant owner is a continuity plan for you and your employees or your family. If something were to happen, God forbid you were to become disabled or not be able to work, do you have a key man policy in place?
Well, I don't have a key man policy, but I have a personal policy.
A personal policy. Okay. And do you know how much that covers?
It covers, I think it's about $100,000 of income.
Okay. So I understand that the industry standard is about 20 times your average income, or your yearly income rather. Do you think that would be able to cover
So,
industry average for life insurance?
oh, I
Is
thought
it
you were
about-
asking about disability insurance.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's
Oh,
life insurance or
okay.
accelerated benefits rather.
I think I've got about $10 million of life insurance
10 million.
between a few different term policies.
Okay. Great to know. So, I mean, are you satisfied with that as to cover your family for 20 years? And
Well, I've got, to the extent that it would cover my children to get out of college,
Mhm.
I'm hoping that they'll go to the University of Miami.
oh, okay. All right.
So, and then my husband would have enough money to afford to sell the restaurant or to perhaps find someone to manage it.
Mhm.
And then, you know, get himself a second wife without living forever without having to go back to work. So I feel like
Okay.
it's probably adequate.
It's adequate. Okay, and that's great to know. What about a continuity policy for your employees in the restaurant? You know, things like, do you have a plan in your articles of incorporation to figure out a beneficiary to or an heir to your ownership of the restaurant?
Right now, if something were to happen to me, it would go to my husband.
Okay, and that's defined in the articles as well as in your will.
It's not defined in the articles because I'm a sole proprietor, wouldn't
Okay.
need to. And it's defined in the will to the extent that it's my personal property.
Okay, understood.
So I own the restaurant and he's my sole heir.
Okay, absolutely understood. So one more thing I want to go to, and that's just figuring out about this code violation that we talked about earlier. You know, God forbid someone.
Well, it's not a code violation. I didn't get the improvements permitted.
Oh, you did not get the
I don't
permit,
know
I'm
if it's a
sorry.
code violation.
Okay.
I think that probably is a code violation, but.
Okay, and that's something that we're here to look into and find,
Okay.
see if we can help you with. You know, God forbid if someone were to fall down and we found out there was no permit to build, I mean, you know, what kind of lawsuit would that mean for your company? How much in damage do you think?
Well, I would ask you that, does the lack of having the improvements permitted void my insurance coverage?
I mean, I would believe so. And that's something that we can look into, and I would love to talk about it with you in a second meeting, if that's okay. But I mean, you know, just in terms of numbers, just throwing a ball out there. In the ballpark of,
If the coverage didn't respond, it would put me out of business.
yeah, okay, I'll put you out of business. And I mean, you know, God forbid that would ever happen. So, I mean, you know, Nick, we talked about a lot here. You know, what I want to present to you is just who we are as a company. Seminole Insurance is the biggest insurance company in Tallahassee. Zagar actually rated us #1 in terms of overall insurance, especially commercial coverage for restaurants like yourself.
Wow, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've covered everyone from, you know, just the small people to the biggest politicians in Tallahassee. Governor Rick Scott is actually one of our patrons. I want to show you a letter of testimonial from one of our patrons in the commercial industry. We actually ended up saving him $30,000 just because we figured out a slight malfunctioning stove and a vent problem. So I want to show you
Warren
this.
Buffett, who owns one of the largest insurance agencies in the country.
He peeks his head around here every once in a while. It's actually pretty interesting. I know. And I'd love to share this with you after the meeting. But what we're looking at right now is actually, you know, there's a lot of holes in the coverage that we have right now in terms of figuring out liquor liability and we're looking at over $700,000 in possible, you know, loss.
I know I've got coverage for it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have coverage for liquor liability.
And the question of it is how much, right? You know, looking at $700,000, we can never be too careful. Along with, you know, an issue with a code violation that may put you out of business. So I think there's a lot of holes that we can actually find value in and to see if we can actually talk about setting up another meeting. I would love to see if I can help you with these issues, and I would love to talk to my team and get back to you.
Who would the team be that would come out and meet with this?
So there's a few of us. You know, we've got a lot of people that specialize in the RMI industry, or risk management industry, and we have over 30 years of experience combined, just my team of 3, and we would love to work with you. Is there any way we could set up a meeting possibly next week? A few, also FSU grads, people who studied risk management, and a few salespeople as well. Would you be interested in setting up another meeting?
I need to know what we would talk about. I want to make sure that whoever you bring back
Oh,
can
absolutely,
actually speak about the coverages.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow I'm going to set up a plan with them and we're just going to work something out to see what we can cover in terms of liquor liability, you know, getting permits for these things and to see that.
Okay, let's